1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody's talking about the new sound, funny, but it's still rock and roll to me.
Hello and welcome to Celebrity Experts. I'm Larry J. Campbell. Joining us today is TJ Buchholz. TJ is an expert on entertainment, Billy Joel. Thank you, TJ, for joining us today.
Hey, thanks a lot.
TJ, can you first give us a little background information on Billy Joel?
Well, Billy Joel was born in 1949 in Oyster Bay, Long Island. His father was a classical pianist and his mother was a singer. They trained him in piano since he was about 9. He worked odd jobs. He was a furniture mover at one time, I do believe, and he attended Juilliard Music School in New York City. Right after he got out of Juilliard, he took some other odd jobs until he got a record contract, and that's why we know Billy Joel.
You mentioned Billy Joel started his career in the early 1970s. How has his music style changed or progressed into the 1990s?
Well, in the early 70s, he was just out of Juilliard, so it was really classically based. A lot of piano, very little guitar or even drums, a lot of piano and a little bit of bass. Since he's progressed through the decade, it got more electric, with the advent of new technology, electric guitar, synthesizers. In his later albums, you don't hear a lot of piano, more guitars.
What do you prefer?
I prefer his earlier works, Piano Man, Street Life Serenader, which is early 70s, a lot of piano in those.
Can you tell us a little bit about his albums?
His first album was in 1973. It was Piano Man, which we have the song Piano Man from that. There was a few others. There's a song called Traveling Prayer on that album, which is basically almost a country influence to it. A lot of banjo in it, a lot of the mouth harp. He did an album in 75, Street Life Serenader. That was a lot of instrumental tunes like Root Beer Rag, The Mexican Connection. As we go through to the early 80s, there was Glass Houses, which was his first real work with electric guitars. He first started getting electronics. And as we had the Bridge album, which was a lot of electric and very little piano at all.
How did citizens react to his first album?
It was a type of thing where a lot of people liked him, but he didn't really hit it big until he had Piano Man. It was a lot of a closet. People liked him, Basically, it was really, a lot of people had heard of him, but they didn't really know him,
What is the story behind the hit song Piano Man?
After he got out of music school, he was looking for a record contract and didn't have one yet. He needed, a job to pay the rent, get some food, so he took a job in a piano bar. And he liked it so well that he wrote a song about it called Piano Man. And one thing led to another. A record company heard him, and he had the hit Piano Man.
Are there some other hidden messages behind some of his other famous works?
I'm not really sure. I never really listened that close into him, I guess.
Okay. Do you feel Billy Joel's music has acquired a bit of a harder edge since his classic Glass Houses LP?
Yeah, Billy he's getting older. He's a veteran, and I think that he can't hit the high notes like he used to. He's still very good, don't get me wrong, but he can't hit the high notes, and he's relying on a lot more electronics nowadays than he used to. In his latest album, he used a lot of guitar, a lot of bass, very little piano. He plays piano, but it's in the background.
So he's starting to rely on other means. What do you feel about his latest effort, Stormfront?
I really like Stormfront. Stormfront was back to early 80s where he did a combination of electric and he did some piano. A good piano song he does is I Go to Extremes. You can hear a lot of piano in that, especially solo parts in the end. He does a lot of piano in that one. We Didn't Start the Fire, there's no piano in that, his #1 hit. There's basically what they call a clavinet, which is like a synthesizer, but it's not a piano either.
Are there any other songs on that album that you're particularly fond of?
My favorite one on that album is it's a slow one on the Andesite one. It's called Shameless. It's kind of a slower song, but it's kind of a lot of guitar in it, a lot of lead guitar, very little piano again.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how he professes his love to his wife.
I see. So in this latest album, he started to use more of the piano again and started to go back. Okay. Doesn't Billy Joel have a famous wife?
Yes, he does. His wife is named Christy Brinkley. Christy is a model. She's modeled for Maybelline Cosmetics or something, and she's done the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues. Basically, they met when Billy Joel had finished his Innocent Man album. A lot of the songs on that album were written for her.
Mm-hmm.
And they were married, I think, in 85, 86. And they have a daughter. Her name is Alexa Ray, which on the new album, he wrote a song for his daughter. It's called The Downeaster Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a fishing boat named the Alexa, after his daughter.
And how old is she?
She is, I think, 3.5, 4 now.
How was their relationship? Did they see a lot of each other? They seem to be busy.
On his latest tour, Christy and his daughter both went with him on the tour. So they're touring around with him. It's not like, she's only 4, she's not missing a lot of school. That's what he said in an interview. So he likes to tour with them.
Speaking of touring, have you ever seen Billy Joel live?
I had a chance to see his concert down at the Palace in Auburn Hills on February 9th. And it was a real good concert. He puts on one heck of a show. The show was really good. And then for the encore presentation, he came out, Bob Seger came out and did Old Time Rock and Roll with him. And that just brought the house down. Everybody was standing up, about 23,000, I think, in the Palace, just standing on their feet. It was a great show.
Okay, what was Billy Joel's biggest single?
His biggest single, according to Billboard, was in 1980. It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. It was #1 for 2 weeks on the charts. That's his biggest hit so far. We Didn't Start the Fire, I think, was #1 for 1 week.
Is that your favorite song, too, as
No,
well?
neither of those are my favorite songs. My favorites are the ones that are on the album, but they've never really made it big. Some of them, like Ain't No Crime on the Piano Man album is one of my favorite. It never really did anything. But it's one of my favorites because there's a lot of piano in it.
Okay, what do you think the future of music and the entertainment world holds for Billy Joel in maybe 5 or 10 years?
Billy Joel still he's got another album left in him, I think. He does an album now, it's the type of thing where he does an album every 3 years. He did one in 83, and then he did one in 86, and then 89. I think around 91, 92, he'll come out with one more album, because he is getting kind of old. He's 41, I believe now, and he's getting to the point where he really doesn't have to go out and tour anymore, because his reputation's been built.
I see. You say that I hear that Billy Joel has visited Russia and had some singing in there. Can you elaborate?
Billy Joel went to Russia, I think, in 1987, 88. One of those 2 years, I'm not sure which one. He toured, he did concerts in Moscow and Leningrad. 2 concerts which were, if you have a chance to see the videotapes, they're great. He really puts on a show. He gives the people what they're worth. The Russian people took to him just like a regular crowd, which I found amazing. They just stood right up and cheered. They were right at the front row, banging on the stage for him.
Do you see Billy Joel maybe going back there with maybe with another album?
I don't see him going back there again with another album. I'm sure he might visit there again, but I don't think he'll tour again with another album in Russia.
Do you see him retiring after maybe you say might make another album? Do you see him retiring after that, maybe sitting down with Christy Brinkley and his daughter?
I think maybe he'll get to the point after this album maybe coming up. I'm not sure if he's even going to do one, but maybe he'll do one more, and then he'll kind of settle down and maybe just try to settle down with Christy and his daughter.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank you, TJ, for joining us. I'm Larry J. Campbell. Be sure to join us next week for Celebrity Experts. Thank you.